36, and it's the American turn. I am concluding that I kind of want to start a new game. I think the destroyer, between the destroyer escorts being so powerful, destroyers being so powerful that they can carry an infantry. If we tamp that down, um, tamp, temper, tamp, if we decrease the power of that, then that will let Japan have that sort of the dance of, the Japanese expanding and then contracting, whereas having two infantry enabled to land on every one of these at the beginning and the money coming in probably took the trajectory um, to a lesser height. So we didn't see that dance where Japan expanded and then contracted. Um, and right now we just have a contraction. So I think I will probably ask to start the new game. He did have, he was unlucky in Yunnan, and even without my Russian fighters, and that's a problem too. So, uh, and to be able to hold Bryansk is awesome. Novgorod, some of the, there was obviously some strategy and some increased mobility. Let's take a look at the house rules, and then I'll show you a few things I would have done, and uh, maybe a cool U.S. turn. Uh, Honestly speaking, yeah. So let's see. You cannot convoy unless you're at war. You cannot interrupt Lend-Lease at war. I think that's, I think that's a very common sense kind of rule. You cannot occupy originally Russian territories and still receive a bonus for not being at war. You cannot load troops onto transports in a hostile sea zone ever. You cannot capture capital money unless you surround the capital. If you fail to do this, you only secure the IPC value of the territory. The exception to this is France. You must capture both Normandy and Paris, but the French government can surrender and withdraw to South France. It's a nice history there. Destroyers can carry one infantry. I'm going to say two destroyers. I like destroyers being able to carry it. It's historical, but it's just if two destroyers, this means that Japan will be able to do this first turn. They'll basically have one more transport, and the Americans can do a second turn. It will fuel the purchase of destroyers, which I think is cool too, and it leaves them vulnerable to air attack. It costs one extra to train and load on the ships, and they can attack at two in the first round of Amphib. Paratroopers are not attack. I think that's a great idea. I think, and they can be used in non-com. Rockets are like bombers. Russian ships may pass through the Danish Strait unless war is declared. Lend-Lease is not disrupted by the presence of foreign units. Axis shipping is limited by the same restriction that the U.S. has in the Pacific. No ending naval movement in U.S. or U.K. or neutral sea zones. Nations may choose six technologies as their superchart. Anniversary tokens are used. Each token is an independent research lab and succeeds on its own. You must roll a 6 to succeed. Each turn, major powers automatically receive a new tech. Tokens are only removed when they succeed at a breakthrough. Improved mechanized infantry is not a technology. 1, 2, and 2 can blitz. Cost 4. They are available from the start. They can attack at 2 if accompanying a tank on a 1-to-1 basis. Artillery does not elevate the attack value. You may rail 2 units from major factory up to 3 spaces, 1 unit from minor. Subs automatically convoy for 1 in addition to sub convoys on a 1 to 3 for additional 1 to 3 damage. 4 to 6 is a miss. Bombers not used in combat can transport 2 infantry by bomber in the non-combat move, trucks, you pay 1 IPC for 1 territory moving infantry artillery, 1 extra space. Russia may build a mining factory with an IPC value of 1. War bonds are 1d6 plus 1. I actually think that this extra facility was not helpful for the Axis cause because it gave the Allies the um, automatic facility in Egypt, which is such an important facility. Okay, let's take a look at what America would have done. So a lot of fun to be had. I want to see how many tech tokens. Current tech token total. Nope. Okay, I'm going to add. I believe we're up to 4. Let me check. All right, I have 4 dice, 3 from last turn, and a new one. So that's cool. And I am going to adjust my income. Up to 4 dice would be 20, so 94. All right, and we will buy 4 tech tokens. Okay, and the first 4 accounts. I still missed. That is crazy, dude. That is crazy. Hmm. Huh. I do not have long range air. Well, that stinks. Huh. 4 dice, and I didn't get one. That is crazy. I was looking for long range air or heavy bombers or super subs. That does make a difference. Right, he has 5. He has 6 destroyers on the board. I've got a bunch of subs. So we will be placing the subs here, here, here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think we're going to build. This does have a harbor, and the harbor goes 1, 2, and 3. So he can grab me here. So this is also a great move for sending all these planes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So even with um, long range aircraft, these fighters could not engage. These 4 could, these 2 could, and all these could engage in Korea. So Korea will probably retreat next turn to put it out of range of a significance, because the key is to keep the pressure on all of these sides, exteriors. This is probably going to have to be zapped by that plane. All right, so the Americans are going to buy what? Obviously, the carrier is going up there. I will buy 2 planes for that. think I have, yes, I've activated Brazil. Neutral Crush is always fun. Not right now, though. All right, so 2 fighters for the carrier that's going to one to 110, and then obviously a couple subs and the 3, and then I think we have enough. This feels pretty good. Let's see how many. All right, let's do this. So I probably need some more grounds. That is frustrating. All right, that's it. So obviously the naval purchases are to out purchase him and to eventually displace him from C-Zone 6, or to hole him up in C-Zone 6. All right, so assuming that one of these subs is going to 37, one's going to 36, one's going to 35, and one's going to 819. That will occupy 5 destroyers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 destroyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 destroyers. So every one of his subs will be occupied. Destroyers will be occupied, which means he has to buy more destroyers. And I'll build the pressure on 6. All right, and what we'll do is we'll send these fighters to Amor, where they'll be backed up by the Russians. Two infantry can support them. 1 truck supports them. We'll go back and get a truck. And this guy will go up here. All right, and then these will fall back to Midway. Oops, not right. And we'll bring these up to the subs. Will go advance to here, I think here. Where's the subs? Okay, and we'll put one sub here. Another sub there. Okay, so that leaves just huge thorns in the side. This bomber can probably do something, actually. Yeah, this bomber can bomb this factory. I think it'll bomb. Yeah, right there. I'll bomb that. Oh, I might take those subs out, actually. That'd be a good amount of money if I can take those subs out. Okay, let's go with active units. The transport has to go back. Good call. Destroyer goes forward. I'm going to start using, just as a way of, example, I'm going to try not to use the destroyers as transport at the moment, unless there's two destroyers. So, good practice. And then this would go here. And then this would go up here. Let me just confirm there's no fear. I don't think there's any fear of. Oh, there's an Italian bomber. Shucks. All right, I'm pretty sure this has to go up here. It makes it impenetrable. So that means these have got to go up too. These have got to go a long way. No, it doesn't. I can send one. I can send one British fighter down there. Yep. Okay. Active units. And let's see how the battle goes. Yes. Nothing. Yes. All right. One sub is down. Remain. Gets the other sub. Okay. Good. That helps. Then leaves 0 subs on the board for him. The American bomber lands. Okay, so that looks good to me. This goes, this lands, this lands. I will rail 2 units. Here and here. These could rail 3. Okay, and active units. All right, let's take a look at the board. Just going to reduce it, expand the map. Okay, we got American shipping everywhere because of shipyards. So let's do a recap. Let's place, and we'll put 2 fighters in the East Coast, and 1 infantry out here, West Coast, and ships galore. Let me put 1 destroyer out on the East Coast as well. All right, war bonds. So 3 plus I get 1 more. $73. So let's adjust that real quick. Americans. Okay, so a recap would be um, 3 American bombers, 6 fighters, 1 diver, 2 infantry, and 1 truck, and a more um, infantry in Siberia, infantry, mech, and artillery, and so Far East. Transport in 3, transport in 4, sub in 4, sub in 7, 16, 19, 36, 35, destroyer in 42. Infantry in Caroline, 3 cruisers, 1 battleship, 4 carriers, 2 destroyers in 25. In 10, 2 cruisers, 2 destroyers, 2 subs, and a transport. West Coast has infantry anti-aircraft. British Columbia has artillery. East Coast has 2 anti-aircraft, 2 fighters, and 101 has a destroyer. 91 has shucks. Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave that alone for a second. Transport and the infantry and tank are going to be in Morocco, and there's going to be an aircraft carrier in 110. Okay, that's Crockett doing the American turn. Crockett out.